Not only is travel a sensitive subject these days, it's definitely not the same anymore. So today I'm going to tell you all about how you can travel safely during COVID, including precautions while being in transit, habits I've picked up, and tips for what you can do to stay safe on location, as well as my resources and sites I use. But first, if you're new here, welcome. I'm Linda, a 35-year-old who sold everything to travel the world, and I'm here to help you get those bucket list checks and travel more. So be sure to hit that subscribe button and notification bell. So first of all, I think it's universally agreed that travel does increase your risk of infection, so definitely use your own discretion in making the decision to travel. And always listen to the local mandates, and remember that I'm not a health expert. This is just what I've done and based on my research. But let's dive right in, and we're gonna get started with the basics. So I'll put the chapters on the bottom for you if you wanna skip ahead to the more in-depth travel-related tips. First off, wear the damn mask. Masks are basically mandatory everywhere these days, and in order to keep yourself and others safe, be sure to wear one in a new city. And always remember to social distance as well. There's a word we didn't know last year. Wash your hands. This should kind of go without saying, but even I've gotten carried away with the hand sanitizer. I always carry some with me. I make sure to use it as soon as I arrive somewhere, before I eat, and as soon as I get home. Avoid crowds, gatherings, and meeting new people. That's definitely the toughest part of this time, I think, but hey, maybe it's the perfect excuse to take that solo trip that you've always thought about but have been a little bit too scared to do. This is your opportunity. Go out there and venture around by yourself. And despite what it may appear, I am actually by myself a lot of the times. I spend most of my time working alone in an Airbnb, and even if I do meet up with friends, which you might have seen in some of my videos, it's never more than 5 people, because basically the rule is you can't have more than 4 people at a table in a restaurant anyways, so you know, somebody always has to sit by themselves if there's more. Avoid flights and mass transport. As soon as I realized that coronavirus was going to heavily affect travel, I made sure to get myself a car so that I could still explore my own backyard as well as neighboring countries. So this is a great time to either invest in that or rent a car and get out for some, local adventures. It's definitely one of the safest ways to get around right now because you are by yourself. I do realize that sometimes you do have to fly, so if that is the case, just be aware that social distancing is going to be pretty difficult to do. And while there are conflicting reports on how dangerous flying actually is, there is evidence that it can lead to transmission. So just make sure that you protect yourself and those around you as much as you can by wearing a mask and avoiding it if you've been in contact with somebody who is positive. Airlines are doing everything they can to keep passengers safe, so always be sure to listen to their regulations and rules. Be aware of crowded areas such as food courts and the gate, so maybe this is the time to bring your own snacks and just wait a little bit further away without missing your flight. And of course, while in transit, always be conscious of touching your face and not doing it. Pick Airbnbs and apartments over hotels and hostels. By having your own space, you're reducing the risk from shared areas like common spaces, bathrooms, and kitchens. It'll just give you much more peace of mind. Sit outside when possible. Whether it's for coffee or dinner, I always try to make sure to sit outside in the fresh air. Now that it's getting colder, I do realize that this is going to be more difficult. So one of the things that I've started doing is if I am sitting inside, making sure that the table is further away from other people and that there is, an empty table in between at least to keep some distance. Don't worry about what others are doing. If you see other people not wearing masks or going into crowded bars at night, don't do anything that you're not comfortable with. You can enjoy an evening in a new city just as much by sitting on your own balcony with a glass of wine. Consider camping holidays, RVs, hiking, and that van life bucket list check. There's no better way to social distance than getting out on the open road and out into nature. So if you're in a new country, make sure you check out all the outdoor adventures to be had there. And make sure that you know what the regulations are in whatever country you're in. These things are changing on almost a daily basis, it feels like, and especially if you don't speak the language, it can be really difficult difficult to know what is going on. One of the best ways that I found to get ahead of this is to join expat Facebook groups. People are always sharing information and English articles in those groups. And speaking of resources, these are the websites I use to get the latest information on what countries are open for travel, what their entry regulations are, and what the latest number of new COVID cases are. These are the things that I think are really important to stay on top of right now and use to make your decisions on where to go. So I want to say thank you so much for all of the positive feedback on my latest video on where is currently open for travel this month in November. If you missed that, you can check it out right here. And if you have any questions, please feel free to pop them into the comments. I hope that this has been helpful. Until next time, be good to one another, be good to our planet, and keep adventuring.